Welcome traders, today is July 20th and we are bringing you our daily recap. Now today is a red day. We got short squeezed on BIYA. We lost almost $2,400 on that trade, but let me show you what we did to recover. Okay guys, let's break down BIYA. Now this stock moved up almost 100% today on basically no news. It was recycling an old headline where it executed a reverse split to meet Nasdaq's minimum bid requirements just so they can stay listed on the exchange. So having this stock gap up 100% is very abnormal given the circumstances. Normally when a stock needs to execute a reverse split, just to regain compliance with NASDAQ, it's not exactly bullish news. They're only doing it so they can stay on the exchange. So for this stock to gap up 100%, it's very odd and it likely trapped a lot of early short sellers that expected a push and a fade immediately. So let's break down what happened. You can see that it started around the 418 level and it slowly grinds up in the aftermarket and the pre-market to a high of $8.65. Now, when the market opened, it had this huge dump, and I was very bearish on it. But what I noticed after I got in was this $6.90 level was very thick. It was very difficult for the stock to break down through this level. So you can see from the wicks as well. I'll pull a different chart on the 1 minute maybe, but you can see here that it held 680. So there was a spread, but the 680 to 690 level was just holding. It was not breaking. I still expected a fade, but I knew it wasn't going to be the clean fade that I wanted. So after this dump, I actually bottom ticked it twice. I got out my position. I held a tiny size, and on the push, I actually got out. So in this area, I was actually green about $700-800. And after this push, I held on a little too long and I gave back half my profit. So I was green about $300 at this point. Now, this is where I got short squeezed. I expected after this candle, this exit, I expected a push. But after the push, I expected the fade. I thought this was just going to be some type of liquidity grab to squeeze early short sellers and fade. But my mistake was, if you look at this chart as a whole, it's been grinding up the entirety of the pre-market and the after hours of yesterday and this morning. And there was a lot of volume associated with this stock. So because of that, this fade was going to be stronger than what I anticipated. And I actually got squeezed really hard here. So my size wasn't too big. It was very important not to add to my losers, but I started a position at $7.20. I added around $7.50, and my thought process was once this breaks 773, that was going to be my risk level. So you can see here, it tapped and broke 773 to 778, and it flushes back down. And this is perfect because usually when it breaks the high at 773 and it comes right back down, it's meant to squeeze out short sellers and long traders. So they're trying to trap a lot of people up here, which they did, but they didn't trap enough because the issue with the stock was you can see the slow grind from yesterday's close into this open. So because of that, there is no real support and resistance level where you can definitively say this is where all the buyers and all the sellers are at, because it's slowly grinded up 100%. So even if you can identify a risk level, it's still going to be relatively wide given the spread and given the 100% push. So I actually added here, expecting a breakdown below 20 moving average, VWAP, and back down below $7. I was thinking quick scalp. Unfortunately, it squeezed. But on this squeeze, my broker froze on me again. I could not get out on this candle or this candle. So I'll break down the 1 minute. I got in, and on this candle here, I could not get out. My entire screen froze. I've been trying to figure out why, because lately TradeZero has been doing that a lot. And I've been asking AI, I've been asking ChatGPT just to help me diagnose the issue. I know it's not a hardware issue because I have a 14900K and a 4090 and with 48 gigs of RAM. So I know it's not my hardware, So it might be because of trade zero or a server issue or a latency issue. I'm not sure, but I couldn't get out. And on the resume, my initial thought process was just get out. We have small size. At this point right here, we're down about $1,200. $1,200 is reasonable. It's not my risk level. And we're approaching pre-market highs. So I didn't want to be in the stock any longer. Unfortunately, as soon as the halt resumed, it froze again. And when it finally showed the level 2 in price, we were literally heading into a second halt. And at this point, I don't know if I feel fortunate or not, but I just clicked market order. I just kept spamming the button just to get me out. Because after these two halts, there's no telling how far it can go. These are two consecutive, very fast halts on the 1 minute. So in literally 3 minutes of trading, it's gone from about 760 all the way up to about 930. So I didn't want to be in this stock anymore. It's approaching my max loss on the day. I know if I can get out, I won't feel emotional because I have not hit my max loss. But if this continues squeezing into multiple halts, then things can get very, very ugly. So I got out here, and you can see from my P&L, I lost $2,396. $9.35 was the halt level, and I got out at the very, very peak. Now, after it opened, it showed a lot of weakness. And it made me think that this halt and this squeeze here was enough to squeeze out early short sellers and trap even more momentum traders. Now, if you look at the volume candle, you can see that this area right here has a lot of volume. It's actually the highest concentration of volume in the day. So given that fact, I waited. I wanted to see this break below this halt level. So once it finally did, I started shorting it. I shorted in 780s. I added at the very bottom. This was not a really good ad, but it will happen so fast that we were approaching a second halt level. So the second halt level was at $7.18. And at 7:30, I just hit market short. And it filled me at 721. It bounced back up. So we're at 750s right now. And given my entry, roughly about break even. If this breaks back above VWAP, I'm down 20 cents. I won't be emotional. You can see the top right here at about $7.80. So if it breaks 770 into the 780s, I'm all out. Because if it reclaims 750, I don't want to be in this anymore. After that, it halted going down. So now I recovered about a third of my losses. And I'm thinking there is very little support below the 650 level. So my average right now is in the sevens, and we're heading into the breakdown below 7. So I got aggressive. I added my final ad, which is still, again, not my max position. If I was wrong, I told myself I'm out at 720. I kept a trailing stop loss in my mind because I'm down $2,400. I don't want to add to my losses. So after this breaks down, I added. This right here was about 680, 690s. I don't remember the exact number. And on this flush, I started exiting my position. This was $6. This one here was 560s. And those were my absolute best exits. In hindsight, I could have held until this $5 breakdown and I would have been green on the day. But when you're down $2,400, I'm not thinking about commissions. I'm not thinking about trying to get green. I'm just trying to recover from my losses and walk away as flat as I reasonably can. So on this flush, I got out around $5.70. I only had 400 shares. I reasoned with myself that I don't want to see this back above 6. And at $5.70, I'm only read $100 on the day, and I can leave this alone and be happy that I recovered from my massive red day. I got short squeezed. I was really disappointed in myself because I still don't know what the reason is that this broker keeps freezing. I'm thinking maybe it's because I have too many charts open, but I'm going to try to find the reason why and fix it before tomorrow. So the last trade, or rather the first trade I took, was BAOS. You can see I short right here at $2.70. I put in an order for $2.70 on this flush, and I got filled 30 shares. I got filled 30 shares. The spread at the time was 268 by 274. So I wanted something in between. I didn't want to short on the bid. I said 2,000 shares, 270. And immediately it flushed. And with 30 shares, I mean, I guess I made almost 50 cents on the stock, but with 30 shares, I got out at 227. I didn't even care. I just wanted to get out because with 30 shares, you can't really do too much. And after I got out, I realized I made a whopping $12. So those are my trades for today. I got short squeezed and I recovered, and hopefully tomorrow we will see better trades. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.